Welcome to another live stream with Intelligent Construction Opportunities. Hi, everybody, and anybody that jumped on right on time at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stephanie Brown here from Intelligent Construction Opportunities. Just to give a little intro, Intelligent Construction Opportunities does these live streams so construction vendors can share their experience and value about their technologies with, of course, you, the construction professional. Today, I'm really pleased to welcome Mitchell Kasselman from Ressio. And the reason I'm very excited about this is it's not often you run into technologies these days that have really sort of doubled down on one particular area. And I'll let Mitchell expand on that, but I really love the fact that this is really providing a technology that is favoring the customer output. So welcome, Mitchell, and so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Stephanie. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So Mitchell, I know how, behind the scenes, how we started talking about what you do and why you do it, but share with the audience how you sort of niche down into this particular area of construction technology.
Yeah, well, I'll even go back a bit to my early entrepreneurial beginnings. I've always been someone who was entrepreneurial, wanted to start my own business. I actually used to sell goods as a retailer on Amazon. So I used to buy anything you could stick in a warehouse and it wouldn't expire or lose its value in 6 to 12 months, and then resell it on Amazon. So I had the makings always of someone who wanted to start their own business. And I also grew up in a household of entrepreneurs and people who worked with small business. So I had that upbringing around starting something. And now I got my first taste of contractors when I worked at Service Channel in facility management software. So I spent time with plumbers, electricians, primarily trades, and getting them jobs at retailers like CVS, Walgreens, and Trader Joe's. And what I started to see there was two things. Number one, spending a lot of time with the contractors, they did not have a lot of software. But number two is when you can get them a piece of software that works, it can be very impactful, especially for small businesses. So ultimately, Service Channel helped a lot of these contractors grow their businesses 20, 40, 60% and get them jobs that they previously did not have access to. So fast forward to 2022, I was leaving Service Channel and I got connected with my co-founder, whose name is Ryan. So I'm the CEO, Ryan is the CTO at our company. And Ryan had gone through this nasty remodeling experience. If you're ever talking to a friend about a remodel or a new build and you kind of ask them how it went, you kind of get that response of, now I have to relive the pain and the challenge of that remodel. And what happened for Ryan is things were over budget, they were delayed, the communication was poor with the builder. And Ryan and I started to dig into this problem of, was it the experience that the builder was providing, or was the builder not equipped for success? And that builder was using a legacy piece of software. And as Ryan and I started to talk to more and more folks, we found that a lot of folks were using legacy software technology that was 15, 20 years old to run their projects. Things were outdated. It was really difficult to use. Or they were using no software at all. And despite growing revenues, they didn't really know how much money they were making at each home. So as Ryan and I kind of narrowed in on small, medium-sized general contractors, especially in the residential area, we identified that there was a need for a new solution that was powerful enough to run large jobs, but super user-friendly so that someone could adopt it and get value from the system.
So I just want to stop you for a second, Mitchell. So when you talk large jobs, let the audience know, what do you mean by large jobs? How many projects being run, or what kinds of jobs, in your opinion, meet the definition of large jobs?
Yeah, so Ressio serves primarily small and medium-sized general contractors. So we've got folks that are doing things as small as $5,000, $10,000 bathroom, and as big as a $20 million commercial project or custom home. So we have the full gamut of the spectrum within Ressio, but those larger jobs, right, tend to have a lot of different unique challenges. And so when I say our system has to be powerful, we have to make sure that we can serve those kinds of projects.
Very good. So just to let the audience know, I think Mitchell and I came up with a somewhat creative way to present exactly, what Ressio does. I mean, what we're going to end up with, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mitchell, what we're really going to show how a custom report can be spun up and made to be able to deliver on an ongoing basis from a progress report basis for the client. So we're going to break this down into schedule and financials and daily logs and to-dos, so that we are kind of putting a frame for you people that are watching to really get the context for what Ressio's trying to accomplish here. So I guess we're going to start with schedule and progress tracking. So I've put together a few visuals here that I want to be able to just, help the audience to sort of see exactly what does this look like. Okay, you start with a plan. You've got, everybody's excited. We finally got all the architect stuff, all that tied up, and we know where we're going. Now what happens in terms of the actual build from the contractor's perspective, the guys on the site, and all the way back on a fairly regular basis of reporting to the client. So we're going to start with progress tracking. How does Ressio track and report the daily progress on the specific milestones like the framing, electrical, plumbing, etc.?
Yeah, so why don't I share my screen, Stephanie, and we'll walk into the software that way. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Fantastic. And as I pull this up, I'll ground folks in what they're looking at. But let me say, going back to Stephanie's original statement on reporting, where Ressio distinguishes itself in this space as a newer product is, one, being the most user-friendly, but also two, being the most innovative. And when we land on that actual custom report that we're going to create for the homeowner in this case, we are actually going to look at it from a perspective of leveraging AI and modern technology. So I'm really excited to get into that. But to go back to Stephanie's original question around schedule. So what I'm looking at here is the Ressio portal. I am playing the role of a general contractor, and I've actually treated Stephanie in this case like my homeowner. And so what I'm looking at on the left-hand side, upper half, we can see Stephanie Brown's home. And down below, I have all of the project level navigation. And on the bottom part here, I have all of the company level navigation. So all my projects, my resources, my time frame, my company settings, and so forth. And right now I'm on the estimate, but I'm going to go focus our conversation based on Stephanie's question over on the schedule, right? This is where we are going to track the heartbeat of the project and understand how much progress we're making through milestones on the job. Now, over on the left-hand side here, we are going to see a list of phases and tasks. So we'll have the design engineering phase, excavation and foundation, completion and inspection, rough structure, full enclosure, and so forth. And this functions a lot like a checklist or a spreadsheet where I can go in and directly update percent completion. I can adjust start date, finish date, duration. I can see the status of each task. I can create predecessors and successors, which I'll hit on later, and so forth. Now, as someone with a project management background, I love to look at the Gantt chart and understand how is this project progressing from start to finish in a visual format. So I can see at the beginning here over on the left-hand side, right, I've got my site staking and survey, I've got my excavation and foundation, and I'm going to be able to make adjustments to the schedule directly on this Gantt chart. So I can drag and adjust my bars and move things around. So all of this makes it really easy in Ressio to build a schedule. And Stephanie, before I kick it back to you, the last thing I'll say on answering your direct question is, okay, how am I going to track progress on specific milestones like framing, electrical, and plumbing? Well, I can navigate down to those tasks specifically here within Ressio. So I can see under 4.17, rough plumbing inspection. I'll click on it. The Gantt chart will also follow to that task. And I'll mark this as 100% complete once I know it's done. Or I'll go to the top. I can search for framing. I can see my framing inspection in this case. And I can also mark that 100% complete here. This will update the task and the associated status of that task.
Now, whose purview is this generally going to be, Mitchell?
This is typically someone who is going to be operating the project, right? So your construction manager, your superintendent, your project manager, whoever is overseeing this from the general contractor perspective.
Okay, good. All right, so maybe we can jump a little bit into the timeline management. How does the software update the clients on whether this project is on schedule, and how does it handle the changes and delays?
Yeah, great question, right? So things are always going to move in your schedule. The first thing that's most important is we got to make it easy to make those changes, right? That's why we can drag and adjust in the Gantt chart. And you'll notice I have those predecessors and successors set up, meaning foundation cut, hose bib hookup, temp power pole are all tied to site work. So if for some reason site work got pushed out, everything else would adjust thereafter. Now, if you look next to Stephanie Brown's home, there is an eye icon at the top. I'm going to click that eye icon, and that is actually going to take me into my client preview. So Stephanie, hold on one sec here. I'm going to just change my presentation.
Sure.
Let's make sure we can see that client portal.
Yeah, here we go.
Awesome. So what I just did, right, was I clicked this eye icon over here at the top where my cursor is, and I pulled up the client version. So we designed our homeowner version or our client portal to be very mobile friendly. We actually see about 80% of our homeowners, 80% of usage from homeowners be from a mobile perspective. Now, if I go through, the homeowner can have access to different parts of the job, the specifications, daily logs. We're going to focus in on schedule for right now. And we're going to see here at the top that the homeowner has a progress bar that tells them what percentage of the job has been completed, the target completion date. In this case, they're moving in on August 30th, 2025. And they can see the phase level of the schedule. Now, this is a nuance that builders have different perspectives on, but I'll tell you the leading perspective that I hear from most builders I talk to is it's super helpful to share the schedule with the client at a high level. Once the client gets into the weeds at some of the tasks, well, they might not quite understand that the foundation pin needed to be done on this date or needed to be shifted around. So we make sure by default at Ressio, the client's informed of the percent progress of all the different phases. When they start, when they finish, what's the ETA. And the underneath task layer is by default hidden and shown just to the general contractor. Now, these are settings you can turn on and off, but giving that recommended perspective, make sure that the client's updated. Hey, my home is moving along as I expect, and gives the general contractor flexibility to manage their trades and their team in an effective way.
I think that's tremendous. I mean, I think giving, in this day of miscommunication and, he said, she said, situations, what better way than to onboard your client at the beginning of this project and keep them constantly in the loop, and also educating them on how they can be kept in the loop, because if they use this application, they are going to become more comfortable to interact with it, and therefore, make sure that all those details along the timeline of a project are captured. So I want to kind of jump into upcoming phases. Can the software provide clients with automated notifications about what's coming next in the build process? You've touched on it a little bit, but can we go down like a little bit of an example of a detail on this? A notify button. You just showed the client view of the schedule. Maybe we can use that client view as a way to demonstrate this.
Yeah, I'll reference more broadly notifications, if that's okay, Stephanie, and kind of talk about, hey, how would I go about doing so, right? So if you look at the top right here, right, I've completed the design and engineering phase. I've got 100% completion on site staking and my pre-construction here. So at this point, maybe I want to send a notification out to either a client or to my trades that have the upcoming phase of excavation and foundation. And so let's say I want to notify all of the assignees in excavation and foundation, right, of their tasks. So if I'll close this up out for a second, and we'll see there's an assignee section. So under site work, foundation cut, I can assign this to a team member. I can assign this to a trade. So if I search for my vendors. I can assign this to a vendor, or I can even assign a task to a homeowner. And so now, as design and engineering is completed, and I want to notify Alec Lomas and ABC vendor of their upcoming assignments, I'm going to select those tasks. I can select as many tasks as I want within Ressio, either all, one, or a few. I'm going to click notify, and that's going to send out an email notification to those assignees. So I'm going to say design engineering phase complete. I can also send this to the homeowner as well, should I choose.
Oh, good.
And we'll see that assignment confirmation update to sent. So now, right, I know I've sent out an update to Alec Lomas and ABC vendor. And on their end, once they receive that notification, they can actually come back into Ressio and click accept. So then I'll know that assignee has accepted confirmation of that schedule assignment and that specific date. And I'll have a high degree of confidence that they're going to show up on site at that given time.
And what particular output is the client seeing? Maybe you can't show that on the mobile app here, but for the purposes of this demo, but I'd like to know, for our viewers, what is actually being shared with the customer.
Yeah, so right, the client seeing under complete, right, design and engineering has been finished. And now they're notified, right, that phase has been completed. It took a total of 2 days. So they're updated that the phase has been resolved. And now they know that next up is excavation and foundation, and it's 0% progress starting September 23rd. So we know as a client, and you in this case, you're Stephanie Brown's home, you'd be able to understand, hey, design and engineering is done. Now we're on to excavation and foundation. And overall, we're still tracking towards that target completion date at the top.
Well, and I think that that's important because you're not getting tied up with the customer needing to have more information than they need to have. But
Correct.
What really resonates with me, because it's my house, is that I understand that it took 2 days of labor to do. So this begins to start to match up against the final, invoices and the cost of this project. So I think, that's great. You've basically answered my question around that. Mitchell, I want to jump into financials now a little bit. So, it's a good segue to start talking about money, but budgets and costs. So does your software provide the updates on the costs and the budget tracking? And what does that look like from, I guess, both internally and from the client's perspective?
Yeah, let's maybe walk through a budget process. So when I talk to folks, I really like how you laid this out, Stephanie, because I usually say, hey, there's a schedule or a field component that we want to focus in on in terms of making sure you have an established system of record. And there's also a financial component. And what Ressio does really well is on the front end, makes it very user-friendly to take an estimate, track those costs, make sure everything stays up to date. And on the back end, it makes sure that the estimate and other financial parts of the system are all well connected so that things do update in real time. And I'll explain what I mean more by that in a second. So why don't I start just with this estimate, right? So this is the estimate, Stephanie, that I put together for your home. I've got my categories, my cost items, my associated accounting codes, builder cost, my markup, and my price of each item. So this is ultimately something I could import from a template, I could build from scratch, or I could build from a cost database within Ressio. And what I'm going to do, Stephanie, is I'm going to take this, I'm going to click create and spit it into a proposal just so that we have that context, right? And I took that estimate, put it into a professional document that I would send over to you for your sign off. Now, as my customer here, what I would do is click release. This would send an email over to you for approval. That email would contain what we call a magic link, meaning it would take you into the platform without any login, password, or app required, making it very easy for you to sign off on that proposal. And I'll go preview the client side once more. So you'd get that client proposal. You'd be able to see it on your phone or a desktop screen, and then ultimately approve once you wanted to move forward with the job. So I'm just establishing this as a foundation to kind of get back to, all right, how are we doing some of this real-time tracking?
Okay. Now you did mention one thing that I am familiar, other applications have in their basket of features, I'll say. And that was, you said you could do an estimate from a larger marketplace. Is this a catalog that is available only in the US? Is it North American wide? What kind of source are they using?
Yeah, great question. So we have our cost catalog over here in the bottom left. Right now, our cost catalog is tied to the catalog or database that is provided by the user. So it's not necessarily a database beyond what the user is providing. Having said that, we will be live with another set of data either later this year or early next that covers North America and goes down to the zip code. So it would be zip code specific data for you to populate an estimate from.
Oh, that's good. That sounds like another live stream to me because,
It does.
again, it's about putting the pieces of the puzzle together in a very comprehensive and applicable way. That's very good. All right.
Awesome.
So let's jump a little bit now to customization and change orders. So how does the software track those changes? I mean, we all know that's inevitable.
100%. And this is where Ressio shines. So if you see me clicking this button that says lock, what I'm doing and why I did that context first is I am setting my baseline. So from here on in, I am going to track how my costs and my total price compares against the original amount that we locked in that contractual agreement. So if I scroll down here, there's two types of changes in the Ressio system. There's a regular change order and a selection. I'm going to start with a selection. So we've got countertop supply and install here. And I'll see this button that says view draft selection. I'll click it and it will open up a panel on the right-hand side that will have an allowance of $20,000 that I sent for you to spend on countertops in two choices, quartz and marble. So Stephanie, what I would do here is I'd send this over to you for your sign off and I'd have you go pick which one do you want in terms of your kitchen countertop installation, quartz or marble? Do you have a preference?
Let's do marble.
Awesome. I love it. So you would go into your customer portal, confirm, very easy to get your sign off, and we'd capture that budget change. Hey, this is over budget by $5,000. And like I said, we'll get your legal e-signature. Now, if you had a question, there's a message button here for you to send a communication either directly to me, your contractor, or more broadly, if there is an external vendor involved. And now I'm going to refresh my page here. Once that selection is completed, we're going to see that it's been approved. We've captured that financial difference. And I'm going to go over to my budget page now. So what my budget page does is by accounting code, we can see the original amount in the first column, the revised amount after any changes in the second column, and then the committed amount, the amount we purchased in the third column, and then the actual bills and expenses here in the fourth column. So if I come down to countertops, what we'll see where my cursor is that we originally started at 20,000, but after the decision, we've captured that revision of 25,000. And now I understand in my ledger or my accounting code budget, that delta between where we started and where we finished.
And is it always going to be highlighted in red under the projected original so it stands out as a change?
Exactly. So we can capture that delta over here on the right-hand side. And if I click view summary, I'll be able to see over on the right-hand side how things are evolving from the original to the approved price. I can also see this in my client view. So if you're trying to keep up at home with your decisions, you'll see that budget summary here as well to understand your original price, your approved changes, and now your new approved price.
Yes, and now I have something to show my husband who will get mad and hit me over the head with a frying pan because I chose marble and went $5,000 higher.
So one thing that Ressio does to kind of build on this is Ressio integrates directly with QuickBooks Online. So if you'll notice this actuals column, let's say as a general contractor, I then paid the bill of $25,000 for countertops, right? We'll notice over on the right-hand side that I can mark this as paid in full, and my cost to complete is $0. So now I know, hey, Stephanie, as we've gone through this, I've paid this bill. There's no more cost to complete. And now I might be ready to send you an invoice.
Okay. I'm glad you described the loop, and also the interaction with the accounting software, obviously so imperative to what we're doing here today.
Definitely.
All right, so that's helpful. So again, I guess we'll dwell a little bit more in the delay notification area. So if there's a project delay, how does all this hang together?
Yeah, great question. So let's kind of use an example of a change order, right? So let's say, hey, we were working on the siding. We needed some additional materials, and that's going to ultimately delay the project a couple of days. Another example might be a homeowner-driven change order. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come add an item below siding. I'm going to call this additional siding materials. And you'll notice this was picked up in yellow. So there's a pending change here. So the system realized that there is a pending change because we locked that estimate originally, and it identified that there was some edit to the scope of work. So in this case, let's just say it's $10,000 worth of additional siding materials. I'll make sure it has the appropriate accounting code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Begin Change Order in the top right. And it's going to filter down all of the items I changed. It'll flag those pending changes for me, and then it'll spit this out into a change order document that I can send over to you for approval. Now, the key part, to go back to your original question, is we can see the items. That's $11,000 inclusive of my markup in terms of the price. But down at the bottom, we can also note the schedule impact. So in this case, this is going to delay things by 7 days. So I'm going to send this out to you for sign off after I add a description, additional siding materials needed.
Okay, but so here's the thing. So I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Yes, additional siding materials needed. But what if I disagreed with it? What if I didn't want to do this? What if I said, what do you mean additional siding? I thought we, agreed on such and such.
That's where the Ressio platform is very easy, right? So over on your side as the client, right, you'd receive this change order. You'd see that same information that I made available, and you could send a message saying, hey, what is this about? Or if you didn't want to send a message, you could decline this change order and add a note for not approved by homeowner. So this allows you to have a very seamless track of communication back and forth between you and your general contractor. Now, on my side, as a GC, we're capturing all this history, and I can see who did what at any given time. And if I need to go discard this change order or edit it, I can do so after that decline.
Okay, so supposing it's declined, is it just automatically assumed that they may play a game of text or a game of phone chase to actually get to the roots of why this was even, brought up as an additional
this is where, right, all of that communication that we're describing would take place associated with the document within Ressio.
Within Ressio. So they're having the conversation within Ressio, they're connecting. So all of this stays fluid is what I'm trying to get at.
Correct.
Okay. And so can you kind of give me, so say supposing I didn't approve of it. I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. I didn't approve of it. And I need to talk to the contractor. Where does Ressio help to move that along?
Yeah, so I think we're still in that communication thread, right? So you would send that message or you'd send that decline. The contractor would receive a notification that would say, Stephanie sent a message and declined your change order. They'd go into the platform, or they'd already be in the platform. So they'd go to this change order and they'd be able to respond with more details either in a message, or what they would do is unrelease the change order, make some edits, and then resend it out. So contractor has all of their communication in one place. They have their financial information in one place. They have details on the change order in one place. And that makes it easy for them to repeat, go back to the homeowner with an updated version or have a conversation without searching for text, email, and seeing things get lost.
Well, actually, this segues beautifully into the next thing we're going to cover, which is visual evidence. Okay, so you want to change the siding. Why? I need to see what you're talking about because, it's my house. So I don't know what you mean.
Great question, right? So you can upload photos and files anywhere within Ressio. You can attach them to any entity. So on that change order, you could attach them to a job cost item. But let's kind of focus in on the daily log. So a great way to build that progress track is by uploading photos and videos from the job sites each and every day. So daily logs are very simple and they're very visually friendly for the client. I'm going to make this public so I can toggle on who sees this, whether it's only my company or my clients. It'll pull in the date. It'll pull in the weather. I can have a template of what's been included here. So let's just say, I'm going to say foundation was complete. I had my foundation contractor on site. And we're concerned we might need additional siding. So I'll add that here in my challenges. I'm going to pull in any files. This could be from my camera roll. I could take a photo. I could take a video as well. And I'm just going to post this here. And now that file is processing. And once I click post, this will turn into an Instagram-like reference of what had happened on the job site that day. And the client gets the exact same view of that same information with the ability to comment on that post.
Okay, so let's pretend these aren't cement walls and they are actual siding. So I'm just riffing in my head telling a story. Well, we were going to use that other siding, whatever that is, but we found out that it cracks too easily. So we're trying to make a change in the siding for you that's similar, but is obviously going to withstand, whatever weather conditions or whatever. We just find that it bends and cracks too easily or something. I don't know. So, or maybe it got damaged. I'm just riffing what the realities could be. So I like the fact that you're able to show, not just tell, because people in this day and age, we all know that people are all about the brevity when it comes to communications, and for my liking, sometimes a little too brief. And so therefore, if you can visually accompany what the issue is or why it's being challenged in a change order, all the better. And I like how clean the interface is. Not to mention the weather. I mean, even the weather, you could riff on a story, but again, when I talked about heat and cracking or whatever, it kind of goes along with it. Well, when we originally chose that siding, we didn't really, check for temperature stress. And so this is good. Very good. I like, again, how clean it is and that the client only gets the information that they really need to then move the project along.
Exactly. And I'm going to build off what you're saying, Stephanie. Like at this point in time, we've covered a few different areas, the schedule, the financials. We've covered a job site update. This is where Ressio can build a automated report for those clients that brings all these things together in one place. So if I do a new daily log and I click the button that said generate, I'm going to take all this information and I'm going to use AI to generate a summary of the events that have happened on this job over the past week, as well as a preview of what's coming up next week. So we'll see here, daily log updates. It's going to show all the information from our previous daily log. Here were all of the completed tasks that we went through. Completed the countertop supply and install. Now, we didn't necessarily complete this change order, so I'm going to delete that information. There were a couple of paid invoices. We've got some upcoming tasks, no upcoming selections, and upcoming change order that we're still discussing. And so what I just did at the touch of a button was I created this report. I pulled in any associated photos and I posted it and sent it to the client, who can see it in their interface. So we just automated what typically took folks an hour, sometimes more, on a week-to-week basis to create a great client experience.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I want to just, start to wind down a little bit, but we'll just talk a little bit about safety and compliance. So how does the software incorporate safety and compliance updates, inspections, code adherence, and all of that?
Yeah, great question. So two areas here that we typically see. And I'm going to start on the schedule and then I'm going to go over to to-dos. So you'll notice when I typed in inspection, all of these inspection tasks were built directly into the schedule. And so typically these are go, no go points where if these aren't completed, right, there's going to be a series of tasks that will be pushed out if the inspection doesn't pass. I can also attach to each of these tasks files that indicate what is included in the inspection checklist. And beneath these inspections, I can actually build subtasks. So if I right click here and I click add subtask, I can actually build out that inspection checklist right directly into my schedule. That makes it really easy for someone to come in, make sure that everything's done appropriately, and move on to the next task. So what we've done here is we've made this very flexible, but also very specific in the sense that you can make sure all of these tasks get completed.
Good. Very good. So I want to know a little bit in terms of upcoming, we talked about phases, but I kind of really want to know some more about the roadmap. When you touched on a little bit earlier. So, you walk a little bit away from the actual demo today, but what does the roadmap look like that you feel these types of clients, for the use of this software, but obviously for their clients, what is really going to be impactful, do you think, now that you're using AI in this way?
Yeah, so what I'd like to tell folks in an industry where there's abundant software now, but there's some older software and newer software. The progress that software is going to make in the next 24 months, so in the next 2 years, is going to be faster and greater than the total progress that was made in the past 24 years. And why this is really important is that if we think about Ressio and how we position ourselves for the long term, right? We want to be that innovator in the space. And so things that we are looking at in the future are, how can I leverage AI to chat with my project? So Stephanie, if you're a homeowner and you want to know, where is my project at in terms of the schedule, instead of logging in, going to your portal, clicking on the schedule page, you could go right to that first page and just ask AI, hey, what's been completed on my home and what's remaining? And AI will spit out that answer. Or if I'm the general contractor, right, and I want to know, did change order 1 get reviewed by you? I could ask AI and AI will respond and give me that answer. And so that's one interaction that we're really focused on in our roadmap. Another way that we've looked at leveraging AI is to automate document uploads. So extracting data from PDFs, right? So if I did have an inspection checklist and I wanted, instead of creating it one by one, I could just drop in a PDF and it would create all those checklist tasks for me. That's the kind of stuff that I think will automate a lot of the day-to-day noise and nuisance that general contractors and their clients face.
Very good. So my next question, just to wrap us up, we're coming around the 40, 45 minute mark. How can viewers learn more about Ressio, and I want to talk a little bit about how you actually deal with getting people to understand there's no harm or foul in reaching out and learning a little bit more about how you, the individual, run your projects, or as a company.
To answer your first question,
yeah,
around how do they contact us, I recommend going to our website, ressiosoftware.com, and
yeah,
that's where you'll be able to book a demo with our team. You'll be able to learn more about our product, any insights that we're posting about the industry, and you'll get to know us a little bit better. And I encourage folks to have a 30-minute conversation with one of our team members.
Okay. And in terms of how they do it, they make sure that people are, that obviously they're understanding how they run their projects. It's not just about here's our demo. This is what we do. This is how we do it. Right?
Yes.
That's so important. Oh, looks like we've lost you, Mitchell. Well, that's an interesting way to... There we go. Welcome back, Mitchell. Oh, no sound there. Sound.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. That like StreamYard booted me, but I'm back. So what I would tell you in terms of our approach to conversations, and I kind of caught the last bit there, like, right, we want to tailor that solution that we're building to the user. We want to make sure that we are not providing something that they don't need. Rather, we are solving a pain point that is driving business value to them. That is kind of how we think about having conversations at Ressio. And if I were a builder or someone who is exploring different software, like, two perspectives. Number one, if I have software today, because of all the progress that software is making, and it is so rapid, I would constantly be evaluating, hey, am I with the right solution? Am I getting the most value from this product? And number two, if I don't have software, well, it's a 30-minute conversation or an introduction to something that, whether it's today, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, I'm going to be more educated and in a better position to grow my business and increase the value that I'm delivering to customers.
And for sure, but would you not agree that you have to, in no matter what software you're using for whatever instance you're doing or for whatever tasks you're doing, you have to reevaluate all the time. And I really liked the part where you spoke about your roadmap, because AI is so rapidly changing the game. And, there's certain facets of construction that don't want to hear it, but it's already changed. And enterprise has wrapped their arms around this whole thing. And I think it's just really important to make sure that everybody understands everybody's got a piece in it. And I just want to quickly, I'm just trying to share my screen here for a second. I've gone to your website because I think it's important that people understand who your clients are, and that it's not just custom builders. It's not just on the residential side, but Ressio's really gotten into the depth, I think, in terms of the specialty contractor and the remodelers. And I think, as somebody pointed out to me not so long ago, that most builds are remodels. It's restoration, it's renovation. It's not the scratch builds that maybe some people think. I mean, certainly in a large facet of some commercial contractors it is, but a lot of it is the renovation. So, and I think Ressio's really figured this out because of Mitchell and his partners' backgrounds. So anyway, that's about a wrap for us. Is there anything else you want to add today, Mitchell?
No, thank you for having me, Stephanie. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to folks, to talk to you. And I'd say the last thing for us is we're always learning and growing. So just like you are, we always look for feedback. We look to better ourselves. So we love having these kind of conversations. We love talking to folks. We love going to job sites and really just listening. Ultimately, that's how we're going to build the best possible product for you.
You're very welcome. And as always, there will be takeaway as Intelligent Construction Opportunities gets what happened today. in some sort of format for not only our attendees, but our registrants to be able to use and hopefully apply to make their own decisions. So if you've enjoyed today's session and you have any questions about what intelligent construction opportunities can do for you, please email us at info@intelops, and we're happy to answer, or DM me directly on LinkedIn. So again, if you want to show off your construction technology, contact Intelligent Construction Opportunities at info@intelops. And with that, Mitchell, it's a wrap. I'll see you on the other side. And we'll look forward to seeing folks coming up. The next live stream coming up is with Document Crunch, and we'll see you then. Take care.
Thanks, Stephanie. One thing really quick.
Yeah.
I noticed in the banner, my email, if folks try to reach out to me, it's mitchell@ressiosoftware.com. So just calling that out.
Watch me make a quick edit in real time. Ressio
All
software.
good.
I think it's it's important. I mean, people have limited time, and people want to make sure that they can reach out to you in the right way. So, and for the purposes of rewatching this, I think it's important. I'm always trying to think ahead. How's this going to land? Thanks again, Mitchell. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you.